Okay, apologies about that. I clearly have not got the hang of this 30-minute limitation thing. And now I've talked for an extra 30 minutes more and I've completely lost it all. Oh, good God, I really need to, yeah, that's actually what I'm going to do. I'm going to set a timer on my phone so that I'll know from now on. Apologies, I still have not got the hang of this. Limitations. Where on earth was I? I was talking about energy shifts in the body. Oh my God, I've lost so much. You will feel different energies. This is like being plugged into an electric current. You come into contact with someone else who's spiritual, someone else who is talking about this stuff. You will more than likely feel the energy shifting around you. It could also be a sign that those in the spiritual realms, those in the higher realms, are drawing close to us because we're discussing that sort of thing. I hope I haven't missed any more of this. I can't quite remember what I talked about in the last part. One part of this about these energies, they can also kind of like remake your energy body and your chemical body to enable you to take in more light. This is all about light at the end of the day. So remake you to become more aware of spirit, to enable you to develop your spiritual abilities and to be able to raise your vibration when you are performing mediumship and trance. So one of the things which I haven't really said to talk about, but one of the key concepts of energy shifts is meditation. And certainly for developing, as I said, the aforementioned spiritual abilities, it's important to be able to draw that energy in further up your energy system, which I'll talk about in another episode. Draw that energy up because it'll start in the legs, is to be able to draw that up through each energy point known as the chakras through your body, until we reach the pineal gland, helping that to unblock and therefore becoming more aware of the visible light spectrum and those who are in the higher realms and who are composed of light themselves, as in spirit and all those that we deem as spirits. So that is the energy shifts in the body. You will have, without a doubt, visions and intense dreams. You will experience things that no one else can see. They could be in your mind's eye. They could be on a person of another person's face. They could be out of the corner of your eye. They could be anything. They can be perceiving spirit as shadow in humanoid form, or perceiving them as light when they're around a person. Normally someone who is performing mediumship or who is giving an inspired speech. You will be able to perceive that. You will see people's auras and stuff like that. Intense dreams, and extremely intense dreams in which you swear that were so vividly real that you cannot believe that they're not real. They generally are. You connect them with the spirits, I've got to a point now where I don't even like saying the spirit realm. It's so limited. Basically, it's this world here that's limited. It's those other higher vibrational awarenesses, higher vibrational states that are the actual real world. So I'm trying to find better vocabulary to express what I mean by the spirit world. Dreams are a very interesting one, and again I'll touch on that in another episode, but dreams are not just silly things that we experience at night. Yeah, they can be your subconscious trying to process events of the day, or things that you've pushed to the back of your mind or haven't quite dealt with in a dreamlike format. But they can also be your soul, be your essence, leaving your body and inhabiting or visiting, whatever term you want to use it. These other realms, these higher states of vibration, these higher dimensions or higher densities, or the astral planes. And they can potentially also be you in another dimension. This dream-like state could very well be extremely real. It could just be a completely different state of awareness, a different dimension. So on top of those, you will also get, and be aware and watch out for this and don't dismiss it, is those messages and those visions and those things that your guides and your helpers and your higher self, amongst others, will wish you to know, is experiencing that state between the actual dream state and being fully awake. We call it twilight. You're not fully asleep, so you know that you're not dreaming, but you're far too tired to wake up. And you're kind of in that sort of weird quasi dream state where it's almost like a dream, but you're aware that you're not dreaming. And generally that is when the nonsense that makes up our everyday train of thoughts and blocks a lot of communication from those, because they're communicating to us through a form of telepathy. It's through the ideas and concepts and words that are put into your mind, but it makes it very hard for those beings who communicate that way to communicate with us during our waking life, because of all the distractions and noise that we have. So in that state there, we're completely relaxed and our mind is at rest, and it's so much easier to penetrate it. So yeah, be aware of that. You'll get messages and words and ideas, and it may not make sense at the time, but it's extremely important to record it, as they possibly and probably will make state at a later time. Things that you will lose, and they are good things that you will lose. You will lose the interest in partying. You will lose the interest in going out to bars. You will lose the interest in that social scene, because you have now awakened, and your interest will be so much more different from that. Along with obviously, if you are recreational drugs or alcohol, even in the house, you'll find that you have a less tolerance for it, a hell of a lot less tolerance, because of the changes, as I mentioned, that are happening to you, these energy shifts through your body and through your energy being. That sort of stuff just lowers your vibration and blocks a lot of your spiritual, burgeoning spiritual abilities. So either by choice or by force, you will find that is lessened to a great extent. On top of that, you may or may not find, it's very common in the spiritual community to experience a lot of people who are vegan or vegetarian. It can be an ethical choice, or again, it can simply be an intolerance then to heavy red meats and thing. And certainly, once you become aware of the sanctity of all life, of the realization that every single thing has a state of consciousness, from not only human beings but animals, to all sorts of, even down to insects, even down to plants, that everything shares this living consciousness, that everything is all connected, then it does become a bit harder to consume the flesh of another living being. And again, a less harmful way of ingesting foodstuffs is to become vegetarian or becoming vegan. I myself have found that this has come into my life in the past few years, and although I still eat fish, I don't eat meat, and I generally don't eat dairy products. And I could find find a way, or not find a way, but if I can eliminate fish from my diet, I would be a lot more happier. So that's something that may or may not come to you. On top of a reduction in alcohol and food types, comes also potentially, if you want to go down this route, you may discover it yourself, it may become more natural to you, is a more willingness or a more awareness of what you actually ingest into your body and cleanse your body with. I've mentioned meat and alcohol and stuff like that. It could be any sort of processed foods. You'll probably want to eat more healthier, more natural, as you grow into the realization that this body it means a lot. You were gifted this body. It is a blessing, and it is something to be cherished, and it's a gift from the Creator themselves. So you want to look after that. And one of the ways in which you may find yourself turning towards is to start becoming aware of what you spray on yourself, what you apply makeup-wise, what you wash with, and what you drink. Certainly there is once you become aware of the energy system and how important the indigo ray or third eye chakra, how important that chakra and the physical representation of it, and as the pineal gland, that is the center of your spiritual experiences, and also is responsible for producing your melatonin and serotonin, your happiness hormones, and understanding that harmful chemicals like fluoride, which is found in most toothpastes and in drinking water, how that can calcify and toxify your pineal gland. You'll certainly want to make steps to eradicate anything like that in your drinking or foodstuffs or chemicals that you, not chemicals, but toiletries and stuff like that in makeup. So that is not a massive thing. Oh yes. I didn't mention, probably sporting events, fashion, keeping up with current trends, technology, any physical things, anything new and shiny. You'll start to find your interest in that becomes less and less, because you just become consumed by this. You want more and more. You want to develop more and more, and those things, become secondary at the end of the day. Same as TV and internet. All those television series that you kind of hoarded on, or soaps, all those fail videos or prank videos, or whatever else that you kind of watch, that sort of mindless stuff that you potentially just watch to fill an hour on YouTube. You'll find that that's replaced by stuff that you have an interest in, stuff that wants to make you, or you're going to learn from. This is not an exhaustive list. This is just simply some of the things that you will and may experience. If you up to now are someone who is not undergoing a spiritual awakening, or someone who has or is not a spiritualist, has a spiritual ability, and are either doubting this or do not believe it at all, there is one group of people on this planet who take this extremely serious, and have done for many, many years, even though it is not particularly public, and that is the world's intelligence agencies. I am talking the CIA, the FBI, MI6, GCHQ, maybe not payments, I can't remember the FSB, the Russian intelligence service, and certainly the Chinese. And you can bet your bottom dollar that or any of the other world's currencies, that most other intelligence agencies have been researching this. There are numerous articles that have been declassified on these intelligence agencies' websites that show that they were interested in not only mediums and psychics, but people who are able to remote view, people with the ability of telekinesis. They have conducted research on people who have the gift of telepathy. They have even trained their own astronauts to conduct telepathic experiments in space. There are numerous articles on this on the internet. Maybe I'll point you in a few directions of these. There are whistleblowers, there are retired people who worked in these intelligence agencies and with them for 10, 20 years who now have disclosed this information on YouTube. They have been trying to remote view alien civilizations headquarters on Earth and in other places. They have been trying to remote view things on Earth, and again, all this is obviously for their own ends. But there is a wealth of research to say that they have had great success in this and have recorded amazing results. So, if you're not one of these people who believe in this sort of stuff, I am here to tell you that. Believe me, this stuff is real, and as I said, the world's intelligence agencies have been documenting this and keeping it from the public for a long, long time. But if you are listening to this and you are interested in it, are not undergoing a spiritual awakening, would love to have some form of ability, you probably already are. There are things that are common to most people that are latent within people that are just undeveloped or have not kicked off. That is... What is that? Yeah. Here are things that are common to most people that are a latent form of ESP or spiritual ability. Everyone or most people, I think, gets some short ringing or burst of noise in the ears. Not tinnitus. We have generally, it doesn't last for very long, but it's generally quite loud. It's not painful. It's not unpleasant. It's just slightly confusing and baffling. But we've generally associated that with angels getting their wings, guides giving us a message, something that we need to be paying attention to. Most people have had this at some point during their lives. It is, despite what science might tell us, it is a spiritual phenomenon. I already mentioned bad vibes. A lot of people can pick that up and they don't actually realize that it is a latent psychic ability, being able to pick up the negative energy that someone is emitting. They don't even have to talk. You could walk into a room and you can just feel the atmosphere. How many people out there have felt that? How many people have seen lights or blurs out of the corner of their eyes, have heard noises that have not been explained and dismissed that as their imagination, when in fact that should be completely turned on its head and to say your imagination is the most important thing that you can have. And to generally, if there's not a logical explanation for it, then it is a spiritual phenomenon. Spirit could be a loved one, could be a guide trying to get your attention. I've already mentioned this, having extremely realistic and vivid dreams. I'm sure many people have had at least one or two of those at some stage. Waking up, cannot believe that it wasn't real. A very, very common one, and probably more dominant and prevalent in the feminine aspect of humans, and that is intuition. You've heard about a woman's intuition, or you could be a gut feeling, a hunch about something that turns out to be true. We've all had those. We've all had a hunch. We've all had a gut feeling. We've always heard women's intuition. I just know that's true. I just don't trust demons. That is a latent psychic ability. It's not developed. And finally, we have deja vu. Deja vu. The concept that you have experienced an event before. It's very disorientated. It's very confusing. Sometimes the longer it goes on, the more confusing and disorientating it goes. There are many different explanations to this. My own explanation of this, and again, feel free to disagree with me. I'm not saying that I have the truth. What's just truth to me is that as we are multidimensional energetic beings, our soul, our complete soul can exist in multiple timelines and multiple alternate realities, as there are many possibilities for our life path, and our spiritual timeline. We can exist and we can have experienced similar lifetimes in alternate realities where things just play out a slight bit different. So my interpretation of deja vu is that you're experiencing an event that an aspect of you in a alternative timeline or an alternative dimension has experienced or is experiencing. There are people who will tell you differently, but that is my own explanation of that. As I said, it's just not an exhaustive list, but it should give anyone who's undergoing this process, or anyone who's interested even in it, to give them a kind of basis to go on. I'm not too sure whether I mentioned about, let me see, I don't think I did. Yeah, one of the things that people undergoing a spiritual awakening is hearing messages, hearing voices. Again, if you're not undergoing a spiritual awakening, this could still be true in you. But once you understand what this is, it can become a very confusing and very convoluted thing, and you can quite quickly tie yourself up in knots trying to distinguish what is your own thoughts and thoughts that are given to you from spirit. The reason why this is because 99% of the time, the words that you receive in your head are identical to your own thought patterns. So it is extremely hard to distinguish what is your own thought pattern and what is a guide or a higher self coming to you. The thing about this is that the longer you try to grasp this and try to reach for it and untangle it, the more you're going to tie yourself up in knots, the more you're going to get frustrated with this and blow a fuse in your head and have to walk away or to turn away from it for a while, because it's just overtaken you. Just let it be. Just let it be, and it will happen on its own. As I said, it generally doesn't happen most of the time anyway during waking life. So you're better off just leaving at the end of the day. Just if the thoughts are, and it's a positive thought, just give thanks to the thought itself. That's all that's really needed. This whole entire process is completely natural. And I don't know if I mentioned this in the first part, but it's like watching a fish try to fight against the current. It's only going to lose. This only goes one way, and you're better just going with the flow. Going with the flow. This is generally what this means. Generally, like all these idioms and all these phrases and stuff that we get during our life, we don't pay any attention to it. But once we look at it in different lights, then we can begin to understand the true meaning of those things. There are signs, there are symptoms, there are things that you will experience. As I said, your entire life will turn upside down because of this. You'll start looking at things in a completely different manner to before. One final piece of advice is that if you're someone who is serious about this, if you're someone who really wants to develop, to help others with this, because you have to ask yourself, what are you in this for? Are you in this to help others, or are you in this to help yourself? Are you in this to be big, to have an ego about it, to look great and to be able to boast? If so, you'll not get very far without manipulating people, and that is the negative path. But if you're truly serious about wanting to develop in order to help people, if you're truly serious and your intent is genuine, then be prepared to undergo many hardships. Be prepared to undergo many dark nights of the soul, to have many traumatic events, to experience a lot of bad luck, a lot of situations where it seems that your life is in a rut, that you are the locus or loci of negative energies, not negative energies from other people, but just events and situations that keep happening to you. They're generally more mental. I'll discuss this more in another episode, but these are not negative events per se. They're what we call catalysts. You're being given an opportunity to detach from the physical world. Whenever this happens, you lose your interest in a lot of stuff. You need to go off and spend a lot of time on your own. You need to ponder the bigger things. You need to find a way. You need to find a concept. An idea, a way out of this. Some sort of resolution with yourself, and this is what's called dark night of the soul. It can also be referred to as shadow work, dealing with ideas, concepts, and habits that have kept you where you are. So this is a chance for you to break free of habits that have kept you enslaved up to now, and it provides a way for new growth. So ultimately, it is a beautiful thing. It's not something to be feared, something that is actually to be welcomed, no matter how hard it seems. And believe me, I am someone who has went through a number of traumatic experiences, and I'm currently going through a life-defining experience. And it could very, very, very easily break a person. But as I said, if you look at it as an opportunity to grow, then it will become easier. And if you give thanks for that, you will be helped through it. You will be guided through it. But remember to ask for help and grant permission, because those beings who are further along their spiritual path, that we call angels, the higher self guides, cannot help unless you ask, because they will not break your free will. But as I said, through my own trials and tribulations, if I had not had and have these experiences, then I would not be here recording this podcast in front of you. I would not be the creator of the somewhat popular blog called The Spirit Channel, and hopefully in the future to branch out further. And again, I do this not out of some sort of idea or desire to be famous. I'm constantly checking myself. I'm my biggest critic, and I'm constantly trying to find ways in which I can be more humble and desire to serve. So hopefully this will be you in your path. I have had experiences where I've told that I'm going to be waking up, and at the time, great, that sounds fantastic, more growth, but ultimately at the end of the day, you don't actually realize the hardship potentially that's in this for you when you wake up. And what I mean by wake up, I guess a very, very blessed spiritual gift, more so than even mediumship, than healing, than thing, is to be granted that gift of clarity, wherein the veil parts and you get a glimpse or get glimpses into who you truly are beyond this physical body, who you truly are in your light body, in your non-corporal body, who you truly are as a spirit, and your soul family. To be given that information is very, very special. That is a very deep awakening, and it is something that I will treasure until my days. And maybe I'll discuss that in another episode, but I'm running out of time here. But it is the information that I have received about my true nature and who and where I truly am from has been confirmed to me through a number of different spiritual people, and through who practice different spiritual arts or gifts. So as I said, if your desire is true, to help people, and you definitely want to develop your spiritual gifts to a point where you're serving humanity, just be prepared to have your life turned completely upside down. and to be forced to deal with issues that you haven't dealt with tonight. They're ultimately just gifts to serve in your awakening process, and to humble you and to enable you to perform a greater service.